The summer of 2017. 7 university students from New Zealand were searching for a secret natural swimming pool in a forest. Just then, a piercing alarm sounded from afar. The young people looked at each other, unsure of what was happening. The alarm lasted about 30 seconds before stopping, unaware of anything. They continued walking forward, but what they didn't know was this alarm was their last warning before stepping into a death trap. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Shima Investigation Bureau. I'm Shima. The story takes place on the 6th of February, 2017. Early that morning, several university students from New Zealand were about to drive back to their school in Auckland. That past weekend, they had attended a water music festival party. They woke up early that day because the 6th of February is an important holiday in New Zealand, Waitangi Day, commemorating the signing of the Treaty of Waitangi. This treaty is also known as New Zealand's founding charter. It is regarded as New Zealand's founding treaty, so it can be understood as their national day. Therefore, the group planned to find a place to celebrate on their way back. At that moment, a girl named Rachel DeRong said she knew of a secret natural swimming spot where the lake water was emerald green and the scenery beautiful, a place she and a friend had recently discovered by chance. Moreover, it was only a 15-minute drive from them and conveniently on the way back to Auckland. The group immediately agreed and decided to set off at once. The place Rachel mentioned is located in the middle section of the Waikato River. The Waikato River is New Zealand's longest river, originating from the eastern slope of Mount Ruapehu and eventually flowing into Lake Taupo. The river is generally very deep with strong currents, but the natural swimming pool DeRong mentioned lies within a dense forest. Although it is part of the Waikato River, it is relatively shallow and the water is calm most of the time. Around 11:40 am, the group arrived at the starting point by car. There was no official road here, but DeRong knew of a dirt path used by locals where a walk of less than 20 minutes would lead to the lakeside. So under her lead, the group began to cross through the forest. The time was 11:55. Just as they were about to reach the lakeside, they suddenly heard a very loud and piercing alarm from afar. A piercing alarm. So everyone stopped immediately. They looked at each other, but no one knew what the alarm was about. After about 30 seconds, the alarm abruptly stopped. The confused group just shrugged and continued walking forward. About a minute later, the scenery suddenly opened up before them, and they had arrived at the riverbank. Just as DeRong said, the lake water was crystal clear, surrounded by lush green trees, like a naturally formed huge swimming pool. A few of them eagerly changed into swimsuits, then jumped into the icy river water one after another. In the middle of the river stood 2 huge rocks, like 2 natural islands, including DeRong. 5 girls climbed onto one of the rocks, while the other 2 boys climbed onto the other rock. The time was 11:58. Just as they had climbed onto the rocks and began to look around at the scenery, that piercing alarm sounded again, just like the one they heard earlier on the dirt road, exactly the same. So they exchanged glances once more, and some wanted to figure out what the alarm really was. So they looked around, finding everything around calm and peaceful with no abnormalities. After about 30 seconds, the alarm stopped again, so they stopped paying attention to it. Rachel took out her camera and began taking photos of her companions, and her companions took this photo of her in return. In the photo, Rachel smiles toward the camera, her young face shining even more brightly under the blazing sun. However, to everyone's surprise, this would become Rachel's last photo left in this world. 2 minutes later, at exactly 12 o'clock, the piercing alarm sounded through the forest for the 3rd time. This time, the alarm seemed especially sharp and piercing. But because of the previous 2 times, this time, no one took the alarm seriously anymore. Sure enough, the alarm stopped after about 30 seconds. But at the same time, the group heard another muffled sound coming from the same direction as the previous alarm. And this direction is exactly upstream of the river. So several people turned toward the direction where the sound came from. As the sound grew louder, they finally saw clearly. A wall of white water was rushing down the river's rapid current, carrying spray that splashed toward them. Just as they still hadn't reacted to what was happening, the river water had already started rising at a speed visible to the naked eye. Soon, the rock they stood on was submerged by the water. At first, they thought this situation wouldn't last too long, so they decided to wait where they were. Because the current was so strong at the time, if they jumped in rashly, the outcome would likely be disastrous. But before long, the water reached their calves, and the rushing current showed no sign of weakening. At that moment, panic set in, and they felt if they continued to wait like this, they would definitely be swept away by the river. So they planned to start rescuing themselves. Two of the boys had already jumped onto a higher rock, which was connected to the land, meaning they were safe for the time being. Then they shouted to the 5 girls, "Swim over here quickly, we'll pull you up." But looking at the roaring river, the 5 girls felt completely uncertain. After a quick discussion, they decided the only chance was for the girls to jump across and grab the boys' outstretched arms. This photo was taken by other tourists at the real scene that moment. Rachel was the first to step forward, and with a strong leap, she just managed to grab the boy's arm, then was pulled to safety. Her success encouraged the remaining 4 girls, and soon the second girl jumped across successfully, then the third, leaving only 2 girls still in danger, while the water level was rising higher and higher, making it almost impossible to stand in the river. The 4th girl jumped forward with all her strength, grabbing one of the boy's arms across from her, but the huge momentum caused both to lose balance at the same time, and they both fell into the river. Rachel remained very calm at this time, not panicking because her companion fell in. She stepped into the previous boy's position and took out a selfie stick. She shouted to the last girl, named Alice, saying, "Alice, jump over and grab the selfie stick. I'll pull you up." With no way to retreat, Alice had to leap forward with all her strength. Her hand got closer and closer to the selfie stick, and time seemed to slow down. At the last moment, he really grabbed the selfie stick, but the powerful force of the river made him lose his grip instantly. At that moment, Rachel on the shore didn't hesitate at all. She jumped into the river and grabbed Alice, then tried to grab a nearby rock with her other hand but failed. The two were swept downstream by the current until they disappeared from everyone's sight. Speaking of which, I'm sure everyone has guessed what happened. It turns out that about 200 meters upstream from this river, there's a dam. This dam opens its gates to release water every day, each time releasing about 20,000 gallons of water per second downstream. The gates stay open for about 15 minutes each time. 5 minutes, 3 minutes, and 1 minute before opening, flood warning alarms are sounded. Those were the 3 alarms that Rachel and the other 7 people heard. The reason for the dam releasing water might surprise everyone. It's actually done to show visitors what the river looked like before the dam was built. Let's look at the dam's location. You can see that the river upstream of the dam is quite wide, while the river downstream narrows quickly. So before the dam was built, this was a rapid current area. I believe many friends must have a question now. Since this place is so dangerous, was there not even a warning sign? Imagine if there had been a warning sign to alert these young people. The sign would have warned them, so when they heard the alarm, they could have anticipated what was about to happen instead of being completely unaware of the danger like now. Actually, there was originally a warning sign here, clearly stating this was a dangerous area, advising visitors not to enter casually and especially not to go into the water. But just 2 weeks before the incident, this warning sign was stolen, and the management knew about it, but they didn't take any action, and it was this negligence that led to this accident. The last 3 friends who weren't swept away by the water, along with the tourists who witnessed everything on shore, called the emergency number at the same time, and the police immediately dispatched a rescue team, eventually finding all 4 people downstream in the river. 3 of them miraculously survived, but Rachel was found without a pulse. This accident was even captured on video by a witness, and after being posted online, it sparked public attention in New Zealand. Finally, at the request of Rachel's father, the media removed all related videos. During an interview, her father said Rachel was a cheerful and kind girl who loved outdoor activities and always wanted to help others. All her family and friends were deeply saddened by her passing. He didn't want his daughter's final moments to be permanently available on the internet like that. After Rachel's accident, the New Zealand government reinstated warning signs and closed off the dirt road entrance. However, for the two one-year-old girl who bravely jumped into the river to save her companion, it was already too late. As summer approaches, more and more people in the country are heading to riversides to cool off. Shima also wants to take this chance to remind everyone to stay away from places that seem dangerous but are actually unsafe. After all, life only happens once. Finally, I wish everyone a happy summer vacation. See you in the next video.